Our next speaker is Dan Feshbach. Dan has been active in, for many, many years. Autism is a tech entrepreneur. He runs the multiple group that is an accelerator, supporting a lot of entrepreneurs. So welcome, Dan.
Got it. Hey, it's exciting to be here, number one, and to hear everybody around the table. And you think about it, it's all parents, siblings, can be grandfathers. I'm not a grandfather yet, but I hope in many respects I have a kid that's neurotypical, but I love my son Reed. He's what moves me and has moved me into this space. I was a financial services data entrepreneur in the mortgage space, and then the world changed, like for all of you who have kids. So I want to talk to you. This isn't about multiple exactly. It's a thought experiment that I've been going through to think through what this adoption problem that we have. Okay, so we have lots of good ideas that don't cross the chasm, or they sneak across the chasm like Teachtown by grinding and grinding and grinding. And Teachtown now has, 120,000 students that it serves. It's had 2 exits to private equity, but it was the sheer force. Something going on?
Just
I'm moving away from the
Yeah.
screen. Sorry, that's my nature. So you have this, it's across the chasm. It's in 3,000 school districts and more. And think about it. It's hand-to-hand combat to get each school district or each classroom. So what I'm interested in provoking is a conversation about what are we going to do about that problem. And so my view is that we have to play in the land of Walmart. We have to be able to speak to the mom and dad to go out to dinner at a fast food restaurant. We cannot continue to speak to ourselves or to the people that go to Whole Foods, because there's a big market there. There's 90% or more of those people are not served. So we have to get at price points. It can't be at price points, even $20 a month for a mom who's struggling with 2 jobs and, et cetera. That's just not going to fly. So I'm entirely focused on that. And also multiple is entirely focused on making visible what's available. That's like, so we maintain a database that tracks autism tech around the world. We probably have about 1,000 entities in it, a lot of startups, not all startups, and we're building that out. So one thing, if you find companies that you think are promising, whether they're B2B, which I'm not a fan of these days, except for unique situations, companies that have that ability, but still they don't scale. Okay, they do not scale because they can't get to those moms. Okay, they just can't get to them. So everything's hard to find, and their friends know nothing about it, and it's not on TikTok. So obviously, tech is here, and we know that you can code with tech. You can do stuff with tech that you couldn't do before. You can build solutions with tech faster, right? Fast. We talk about it at Multiple, the speed of parents. We work at the speed of parents, and I've had that mantra, but I haven't really grokked it until recently. And so, I want to go there, but just like, you don't really need to pound the pavement here. Florio, a brilliant organization run by one of maybe the best, I can't say best CEO, but one of the best CEOs that I've ever met in my life. Not forget about autism, just in life. It's the sales cycles, the gatekeepers. Think about, like, do we have to go RX? Can't we go over the counter? Can't we figure out a way to scale at over the counter and not always go RX? I'm not saying I think RX is the kind of stuff like Jim Adams is doing, the Brain Foundation is supported, Elizabeth is supported. That's important work. That's millions of people. Okay, and I'm an investor in that. So, but the opportunity are you can run the math any way you want. Let's just say there are 8 million, which I'm not using, I'm presuming 5. Let's say there's 5 million, families that are affected by this with the siblings and all that. And let's just say there are 5 individuals in that family that are committed like Kathy, or committed, a sibling that's committed, which there are so many. So let's talk about the frontline professionals who are getting screwed. Okay, they're in jobs, they're getting turned over, they're burnt out, they don't have the support, and yet they have expertise and passion going into the field. What are we doing here? So even if you take 5% of this early adopter market, you can get to $1 billion. I mean, I'm not going to say that's an easy thing to get to, because we don't have any company that's like that. I mean, Teachtown still is not like it's not $500 million in revenue. It's not even, but it's at least, and the valuation means nothing. I don't care what your company's worth. Tell me what it's done. So proof of practice is me. So we've had a little failure to communicate at the Feshbach household, and Elizabeth turned me on to this quite a few years ago. Couldn't get Reed's mom engaged. I'm not very linear, in case you can't tell. I was in the parking lot waiting because I thought the thing started at 2:30. So all that said, there's this new AAC method, if you don't know about it, and it's basically spelling by pointing at what's called a letter board, which is basically a grid of letters, right? Or typing. Sharing is impossible. Okay, there's no data get collected in these sessions. For the life of me, if you try to use my session notes to understand what the hell happened in a session, I'm barely, I've got the board, I've got it. And yet my son's learning, and we're turned on about it. Okay, so there's a real need, and I wanted to capture this, not just for his IP and Medicaid, but for me. Okay, for me, my family, trying to just educate my family that I've got this kid, that he's a lot smarter, he's a lot more interesting, he's a lot more engaged in the world. And my own family didn't get it. So you just think about what we're up against when you're talking to a fucking doctor. Okay, that's a whole nother kettle of fish. So what is this thing? And I'm not promoting this. Anybody that's got an unspeaking kid, great. If you're interested, we can work with all sorts of AC devices. We just call them sessions. This thing may be named something around sessions. It's just sessions, but we can get a summary of a video that's like a gigabyte in about 3 to 5 minutes. And think about it, longitudinal data about what happens. Think about evidence to take into your wherever when you're trying to get support for your child. I mean, what's wrong here? Okay, it's not perfect. It doesn't meet all the professional practitioners' standards yet, but it's just with time. So then I just want to say it's a mom and a hacker. Okay, so on this call is Artie Bacha. She is an amazing force of nature. She gets stuff done. She has a network. She's a leader in a big way. She runs 2 Facebook groups. She's just a gorgeous person, and she's on the team. And then we have Faraz Abidi, who I met at Stanford last October, and was like, I want him. Okay, so we chased him. He helped us build version 1. He's got something else going on that's exploding, and this one is too early. So he's going to be an advisor, but I don't think he'll stay with the program. So anybody that knows a really hot hacker that knows AI, that he built this stuff in probably a day and a half or 2 days by coding it in AI. So, but we move on. This thing's is gonna go. So think about non-consumption. Forget about, just forget about Whole Foods. If you're building for Whole Foods, you're not really building for impact. You just stop it. And we just think about Slack. Okay, you want to penetrate an institution? Nothing better than moms advocating or frontline caregivers advocating, right? Nothing better than that. The worst thing is having a soul like me call on a school district, and I knew nothing about how school district work. I'd never been a special ed, but somehow we managed to cobble it together, but that was 15 friggin' years. We don't want 15 years. So, let's win by building stuff that families can't imagine doing without. Not esoteric stuff, not stuff that sells for even 20 bucks a month. A mom needs to buy for $5. Okay, it's $5 a month or somewhere like that, or some payment plan that's not putting them in debt because they're having to put food on the table and manage this kid and make him happy or her happy. So, let's do that. Let's go to the places where the people are, not to the places that we like to go and have coffee. Okay? That's what it's all about. So I'd love to have, your thoughts. Let's see how we can shift, right? Shift from Whole Foods. Okay, thank you.